Shut up and sit down.
Good evening everyone, it's your man of the hour, the Tower of Power, the living legend of professional wrestling punditry. Hello, my name is Lee Hazel and this is the SteelChair Show, where we stare into the abyss between what fans want from a wrestling product and everything WWE actually puts out this week. Bloody hell, they're 3 for 3. All of the biggest news coming out of WWE, at least all of the stuff that actually involves in-ring action, has finally shown that WWE are willing to listen to the fans, to take what they want on board, and perhaps to put an end to all of the silly, convoluted soap opera bollocks that's been getting in the way of all the actual wrestling for so long now. You know, in the last few weeks, we've seen Finn Balor, get crowned the first ever Universal Champion. In only his third ever televised WWE match, Kevin Owens replacing him after Finn got injured, and AJ Styles, Mr. TNA, picking up the WWE World Heavyweight title against Dean Ambrose. And the best thing is, it's all been done with a minimum of theatrics. Yes, there have been run-ins, and the occasional cracking of the family jewels, especially in AJ Styles' case, but there's been a distinct lack of bullshit. And where there is still the faint whiff of Vinnie Mac's signature brand, the Veau de Toilette, you don't mind as much because fuck me sideways with Francine the Trumpet. AJ Styles is WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You can't repeat that enough. But where is the best place been to see WWE wipe their ass free of the dingleberries that have been dangling down there since the acquisition of the territories? That place, ladies and gentlemen, has been the CWC. The Cruiserweight Classic. Now this has been one of my absolute favourite periods in wrestling from WWE. You can put this up there with SmackDown 6 or the early 90s Intercontinental matches, John Cena's US Open Challenge, and anything the NXT takeovers have thrown at us in the last 2.5 years. This tournament, it was magic from start to finish, and why was it so bloody good? Firstly, because the men in the ring are hungry young fighters who are wrestling like they have something to fight for. Like they needed to prove that they belonged in a WWE ring. And secondly, no wrestler missed the opportunity to use their time in the ring to tell a simple and well-told story, and each story showcased the element that WWE personalities are most sorely missing: humanity. Remember what made the Gargano-Ciampa match so memorable was the fact that Ciampa wasn't willing to injure his friend and tag team partner in order to get the win, and that's what ends up costing him? Or when TJ Perkins immediately got up and hugged his friend Rich Swann after making him tap out and end his dream of winning the tournament. You know, people say it's conflict that is the essence of drama, but what WWE, and most professional wrestling for that matter, doesn't realise is that one side of the conflict must always have compassion. It strengthens the conflict when a hero or villain shows empathy, and it creates fully rounded stories and stops characters being two-dimensional. Now take those last 2 points and tell me WWE superstars don't need to show a little bit more compassion in their matches. I mean, think about the last time I saw a genuine moment of untainted sportsmanship in a WWE show. It was during Survivor Series 2015, and it was the World Heavyweight Championship match where Dean hugs Roman after Roman beats Dean. And Jesus, that was almost a year ago now. But I digress. Last night's Cruiserweight Classic final was a great note to end on for the tournament. It was hard-hitting, high-flying. It was a showcase that really defined the level of excellence we want from WWE's Cruiserweight division. Firstly, an apology. Mr. Zack Sabre Jr., I am sorry for 2 things. Firstly, I am sorry for constantly predicting you to be on the losing side of whatever matchup you find yourself in. While you are one of the best wrestlers that the UK has ever produced, proudly flying the flag for British technical wrestling, wherever you go, the sumptuous banquet you bring to the table is full of things WWE are allergic to. It brings them out in a rash, it closes their throat for one reason or another, they just will not touch that stuff, you know? They've never been ones to actively encourage the technical and scientific side of wrestling. Most of the mat-based technicians that have made it big in WWE have had to pepper their repertoires with moves that have turned their bodies into wrecks and their stories into tragedies. Plus, let's face it, mate, compared to everyone else on the WWE roster, you're scrawnier than a bulimic scarecrow. You know, you've said it yourself, man, you know, in a CWC interview, you know, you said you had slender shoulders, and no WWE success story has ever been able to accurately refer to themselves as slender. And in this regard, I have not only doubted you, but WWE's ability to see your talent. I guess I still see them as the company who would keep guys like Tyson Kidd and Paul London down instead of the people giving guys like Sami Zayn and Finn Balor a chance. Secondly, I'm sorry I finally picked you to win against Grand Metalik. You know, I had you picked to lose all this time and you kept winning. And finally when I picked you to win, you lost. Can't help but feeling there's a little bit of kismet in that. But that's taking nothing away from Grand Metalik, who put on a hell of a show in the semi-final. He came right out of the gate to put a quick end to Sabre early on, giving the first match some serious pace right from the start. He also controlled the match throughout, forcing his opponent into a striking game that is not Sabre's forte at all. And in the end, while perhaps a little bit too abrupt, it did come as a shock, like the ending where he hit the metallic driver on Zack Sabre after Zack seemed to be finally in control of the match, finally got him into a position where he was about to hit Metallic with a move, and Metallic just catches him, puts him in the driver. But it did come as a hell of a shock, especially if you're a British wrestling fan. You know there's been a lot of hype building around Zack Sabre with good reason for the last few years. A lot of us hoping he was going to win it. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But, it was a shock. That's good. Surprise is good. And also, it sets up the metallic driver as something that ends opponents. It just finishes them. And that's what we in the industry call foreshadowing. And Ibushi versus Perkins, no slouch either. In fact, I think it might have been the best fight of the night. Ibushi is a hell of a talent, and there is a reason he was favourite to win. His kicks are like lightning, and he's bastard hard with them. And even though Perkins blocks 2 of them with his legs, those legs sting like hell. His shins must have felt like they had just been cut to pieces and then put back together with glue. But then when it comes down to the final, now I've got a confession. I don't expect most of you will believe me here, but after Perkins put Gargano away, I started thinking that Perkins would take the trophy from that early stage, despite the fact that he was a dark horse. I mean, the dude's got the moves. Brian kept calling him a wrestling genius throughout the competition, and he has the kind of charisma that will make him very popular among WWE's young merchandise buying audience. His dab and the thing that he does in his entrance, where it looks like he's holstering a couple of guns, makes him look like an internet gif became sentient and came to life. Seriously, the dude is like a walking meme, and the kids will love him for it. I held fast with Perkins throughout the tournament, so it's just my bloody luck that I changed my mind in the final. Once Grand Metalik got through to the last 2, I was reminded that this competition is still part of a business, and without Alberto Del Rio, WWE has lost its biggest Mexican draw and is lacking some serious talent to draw in the Latino audience, especially since Lucha Underground became a phenomenon. Right now, all they have is the injured Kalisto, the underbooked Sin Cara, and the underperforming Shining Stars. If WWE did crown Metallic, the cynic in me, the awful, horrible person I am, thought it would probably have more to do with those reasons than his actual talent. Now, Metallic is a great competitor, but I'll confess, he isn't my favourite luchador, not by a long way. I still think that Pentagon Jr. and even Kalisto, La Sombra, even Rey Mysterio doing what he's doing in Lucha Underground now, they still beat him by a mile. And he isn't anywhere near my favourite wrestler in this tournament either. I still think that Swan, Alexander, Ibushi, Dart, Tozawa, Gallagher, Kendrick, even both members of DIY, and yes, Zack Sabre Jr. would have been a far more fitting fit for the final. He wasn't in any of my favourite matches. I don't think even the top 5, even the final, I don't think makes my top 5, especially not after the Ibushi Perkins match, which I thought kind of far superior. Still a really good match though. I mean, no doubt I'm in the minority here, but when the rest of the guys were telling heartfelt stories with their matches, he was just having good physical lucha libre style contests. But with what the rest of the guys were doing, it's just not good enough to be anywhere near MVP for me in this tournament. I mean, yes, it was still excellent and still better than most of what WWE puts out on a Monday and Tuesday Night Live. But that's how strong this tournament has been. Got to give it up to Perkins though. Brian introduced him as a wrestling genius, and he proved here in every single match that that's exactly what he was. After WWE ignoring and underusing stars that have made their name in TNA, WWE finally makes good use of someone TNA underused. I can't believe that guy was under the suicide mask for so long. or got lost in the shuffle that was the Revolution. As far as I'm concerned, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack from Ibushi fans for this, oh, by the way guys, Ibushi was never going to win. He was way too heavily favoured, and it would have made the end of the contest way too predictable, besides which, a lot of WWE's new stars are coming from New Japan, like their new World Heavyweight Champion, made himself the big name that he is right now, from New Japan, right off their heels. NXT champion, Nakamura, he's from New Japan. They really don't want to be having too many stars from New Japan really make names for themselves in WWE. Kind of makes New Japan look like the #1 company, which a lot of you may agree with. Personally, might be kind of with you there. Anyway, like I was saying, as far as I'm concerned, the right guy won. Perkins totally deserves it. His win caps off a great tournament. Couple of complaints. Firstly, having two guys tap out to the knee bar makes Perkins look as strong as fuck and a real champion. But did two of the world's best wrestlers finally hit the world stage only to tap? And it makes the champion look strong, but the tournament he won look weak, or at least weaker. The CWC is not something that you should be giving up on. The stakes are far too high. Secondly, why? He couldn't resist, could he? Fresh off putting himself centre stage at Kevin Owens' Universal title win. Triple H does the same thing here. Yes, something is needed to separate this match out from the other matches. Yes, we need someone to present the Cruiserweight belt to the challengers. But does Triple H really need his entrance? Does his music need to blare? I was half expecting him to drink the half bottle of water and then spit it out all over Bushi's face. Can't the camera cut to the ring with him already standing there next to the trophy? Also, why does he have to come out last after the two finalists have already made their entrances? Coming out last is the champion's privilege, and it just smacks of him using the final of this great tournament to massage his own ego. Thirdly, while the tag match was good, wouldn't we prefer to see the third place match between Sabre and Ibushi? I mean, Ibushi would have won, there's no way they were putting him below third, but Sabre-Ibushi was a lot of guys' fantasy final. It would have been really nice to give it to him. You won't hear me complain about the Cruiserweight belt here. Oh no. No. Not after I complained about people complaining about the Universal title. I could. I could talk about how the belt looks like it was manufactured en masse by Fisher-Price. I could talk about how it looks like a replica for a much better belt available on a WWE merchandise store. About how the strap looks like it was homemade by a cosplayer. But I won't. No, instead, some honourable mentions. My boy, Jack Gallagher, proving that he has the most personality of any wrestler in the competition, or indeed the industry. Tozawa really does have the best German suplex in the world, making Brock Lesnar's version look like the Big Mac of German suplexes. Gargano and Ciampa probably had the best match, despite the fact that it was in the first round. Kendrick, most certainly not done yet. He's got a couple more Cruiserweight title runs left in him, mark my words. Just look at the expressions in the guy's eyes, there ain't no way WWE are saying no to a talent like that. Swan, Dar, Alexander, all of those guys have earned their place in WWE's new Cruiserweight division. All in all, a fantastic tournament. I can't wait to see more from WWE like this. I can't wait to see 2017's CWC. Well, there you have it, folks. That was a SteelChair shot. Thank you for listening to all of my ramblings, and please don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment if you agree or disagree. Check out the mag below, and I'll catch you all on social media.